I noticed that when I was teaching in Alabama, we weren't asked to do things, we were told to do things. They would get on the intercom and tell teachers what they needed to do, like various duties we had to get done. There was a lack of respect, yes. And I kind of thought it was because we were women.
So when we got together to discuss, it was not really a discussion. It was me being told how to teach and not really being given the opportunity to provide input. And if I did provide input, it was most of the time just ignored, but probably at worst laughed at. Yeah.
As far as teaching goes, I'd say the only thing that ever stood out to me as particularly, uneven would be that a lot of the men were coaches, and fewer women were coaches. Of course, there were women coaches, but the male coaches would sometimes receive different treatment.
I've also noticed that in my work here at Grandview, it seems as if male teachers in elementary get hired first. Administration tends to be more male dominated, and teachers like in the classroom tend to be more hands-on. Is that because that's what we prefer? I don't know.
Many districts largely have male administrators. When I first started teaching, I had all male administrators. All of the colleagues on my PLC, my science PLC, were also male. And so I didn't know, as a first-year teacher, of any other treatment other than what I had received in that environment.
Although women make up 83% of the teaching force, only 10% of superintendents are women. 90% of superintendents are men.
We had to clean our own rooms, and I always kind of wondered if they made that decision because we were women.
Yeah.
It was almost like we were viewed as mothers and not educators.
So I think that women who enter as teachers and then kind of want to become an instructional coach and work their way up to administration, it might be hard for them to navigate the kind of all-male culture that already exists in administration. So I would hope that part of a leadership program for administrators, wherever they attend, would look at social justice issues and make them aware of their biases and the power dynamics.
Now, for women who go into leadership and education, there are quite a few challenges. So I discovered, after being at the receiving end of a lot of microaggressions from my superintendent, I discovered I was actually being paid $5,000 less than my male counterparts who had less experience and less education. So he chose to give that smaller salary. So boys are punished more often, way more often. They're suspended more often. They're kicked out of classrooms more often. And arguably, I'd say that boys are no worse off when it comes to behavior than girls.
Discipline is science. This is an interesting kind of set of series of conversations that I've had with individuals over the years, just making assumptions about young women in science and mathematics, which blows my mind that there's still even women that have these beliefs about young women being incapable or inferior or different when it comes to their interest or abilities in science and math. I like to provide opportunities and I like to teach teachers about ways to have your students see themselves in science and in mathematics. When the culture says that scientists are white men, choose different books, have opportunities for your students to see themselves, to see women scientists, to see scientists of color, to see themselves.
I think our biggest challenge is poverty and equity of education, and making sure that all our students have the same access to information and teaching and instruction, no matter what their socioeconomic level is.
Different students have different preferences and strengths and weaknesses, and everybody's going to have a different set of skills and prior knowledge that they bring to the classroom, and all students should be made to be given the same opportunities in all of those settings. How they can make sure that everybody in a particular environment has a voice and has a space and feels safe to share in that particular space, and equal opportunities to succeed and progress up the career ladder also, without feeling like this is a boys' club.
How do you handle that? Well, like you would with any, student that has something that's a little bit different and that they're probably struggling with, with a lot of kindness, hopefully being open-minded. It's not really our role to judge a student for any reason, whether that's their religion, their race, what gender they consider themselves to be. We're there to make them learn. We're there to teach them, to provide a positive environment in which they can learn. So I think when it comes to gender, you should be open to what the kids are telling you, try to learn what is going on, what trends are developing,